On the night I turned 18, my mom gave me a cupcake and an eviction notice. I thought she was joking. She even lit a tiny candle on top, like it was some kind of celebration. I laughed at first, nervously. Then I looked at the paper she handed me. My name, the date, a signature. I was being kicked out. On my birthday. No warning, no build-up, no fight. Just a quiet, happy birthday. Now get out. I stood there in the kitchen, staring at the cupcake like it was going to explain something. My dad walked in and didn't even look me in the eye. He just said, "It's time you become a man," like that line somehow made any of this okay. I'd been working in their store since I was 13, stocking shelves, mopping floors, handling the register when they were short on staff. Never paid, not even once. They called it helping the family, but I gave up weekends, summers, everything. I skipped school sometimes because they needed me to cover shifts. I thought I was being loyal. I thought I mattered. Apparently, I didn't. When I went up to my room to try to process it, I found it already packed. My clothes stuffed into trash bags. My laptop gone. Even my posters were taken down. It was like I'd already been erased. Like I was just done. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I walked out with the bags in my hands and the cupcake in the trash. That night, I slept on a bench outside the library. It was cold, and I didn't have a blanket. My phone was almost dead. No one answered my calls. I guess they believed whatever lies my parents had told them. I lay awake, staring at the sky, trying to feel something. I couldn't. But I remember thinking one thing, over and over. If they want me to survive on my own, I will. But I'll do more than survive. I'll make sure they regret ever throwing me out. And I meant it. They thought they were teaching me a lesson, but the lesson was about to be theirs. The second night was worse. The bench was too hard, the wind too sharp, and I hadn't eaten anything since my birthday cupcake. I walked until my legs ached and finally ducked into a 24-hour laundromat. It was warm. I sat in the corner, pretending to wait for clothes that didn't exist. A guy gave me a dirty look. A woman with a baby offered me a half-full bottle of orange juice. I thanked her like it was gold. By 4 a.m., I curled up behind a row of dryers and dozed off, shivering in my hoodie. The buzzing machines masked the sound of my stomach growling. The next morning, I walked through alleyways looking for something, anything. Found half a sandwich in a takeout box near a trash can, cold, bit into it without thinking. The shame didn't hit until later, when I caught my reflection in a store window. I looked like someone else. Someone small, beaten down. I tried texting a few friends. Most didn't reply. The one who did just said, "Sorry, dude. I heard what happened. Your parents said you stole from the store." Stole? They didn't just kick me out. They nuked my name on the way out. I sat outside the public library, waiting for it to open. When it finally did, I went straight to a computer and typed my name into Google, half expecting nothing. But there it was. My parents had posted on their store's Facebook page that I'd chosen a different path, thanking the community for support while they handled a difficult family situation. The comments were brutal. People believed them. I clenched my fists and took a deep breath. Then, I started digging. I remembered my dad used to leave paperwork open on the counter when doing inventory. Sometimes I saw tax forms, business licenses, login credentials. At the time, it all looked boring. Now, I tried to remember every name, every date, every password. I found the state's business registration portal and typed in my parents' LLC. Then my heart stopped. My name, listed as a managing member, from when they first opened the store. I was 13 then. I clicked the document. It was real. They must have used my name to qualify for some loan or tax benefit, maybe even to get minority business funding. I didn't understand all of it, but I knew one thing. They never took my name off. Legally, I was still part of the business. I sat there, staring at the screen, and felt something I hadn't felt in days. A spark. They kicked me out like I was nothing, but I still had something they didn't know about, and I was going to use it. Sitting in the library, I couldn't stop staring at the screen. There it was, black and white. My name, right next to my dad's, on the original LLC filing. They'd listed me as a co-owner when they first started the business. I was just 13, probably didn't even know what an LLC was. They must have done it to get some advantage, maybe a tax break, or to make the business look more family-run on paper. But they never removed me, which meant legally, I still had rights. I leaned back in the stiff plastic chair, heart thudding. They had no idea. They probably forgot, or assumed I'd never know how to find it. But I had proof. I took photos of the screen with my phone, backed up copies to email and cloud, then logged out. Back in the early days, my dad used to show me how the systems worked. He said it would be useful someday. Jokes on him. I remembered the POS logins, the supplier accounts, even the payroll system. I'd helped set some of it up. They never changed the passwords. Too lazy or too confident no one else could access it. I opened a private browser tab and tried logging into the main supplier's site. Access granted. I was inside. Every active order, every shipment scheduled for the next few weeks, right there. The system even had the option to cancel, delay, or reroute. I didn't touch anything. Not yet. I was just confirming what I suspected. They built this whole thing with me holding the keys the entire time. They thought I was gone, powerless, out on the street and out of their lives. But they left the door wide open, and now I had a way in. A slow, tight grin spread across my face for the first time in days. They wanted to treat me like I was never part of the business, like I was just a mistake they could throw away. Fine. Let's see how well they run it without me quietly holding it together from the shadows. Let's see how long it takes before the cracks start showing. I waited 2 more days before doing anything. I spent those nights in the same laundromat, sleeping behind the dryers, keeping my bag close. It wasn't safe, but I didn't care. I had something better than safety. I had a plan. Each morning, I'd walk to the library, plug in my phone to charge, and head straight to the computers. I logged into every business system I could remember. They hadn't changed a single password. I was in. POS system, payroll, supplier orders, even customer loyalty data. All of it. At first, I just watched. I studied the way money moved. Orders came in. Shipments were placed. Suppliers billed them automatically. Payroll was set to process every 2 weeks. Their top-selling items, bottled supplements and imported skincare stuff. Most of it came from 2 main suppliers. Without those 2, the shelves would sit empty. The margins were tight. They were spending more than I expected, probably trying to grow the store's online presence. Lots of ads, lots of automated emails going out. If even one piece broke, the whole system would slow down. So I started small. The next supplier order was for $6,000 worth of products. I logged in and pushed the shipment date back by a week. Just 1 click. Nothing obvious. Then I flagged the delivery address as unverified, so the system would stall any future orders without manual approval. Next, I went into the payroll dashboard. Their employees were set to get paid that Friday. I didn't cancel anything. I just toggled a setting that made the funds hit 3 days late. Enough to spark frustration. Enough to raise questions. Then I created a new email and started leaving bad reviews on Google and Yelp. Nothing too dramatic, just believable stuff. Rude owner, overpriced products, ordered online and never got a tracking number. Feels like a scam, won't be coming back. I posted them from different zip codes, changed the wording, and rated them 2 or 3 stars. Low enough to hurt, not low enough to look fake. And each night, I returned to my corner behind the dryers, rereading the reviews I'd written, watching their star ratings slip lower. I was cold, hungry, alone. But every click gave me a little control back, a little power. They thought I was just some dumb kid they could toss aside. But I knew their systems better than they did, and I had nothing left to lose. It didn't take long for things to fall apart. By the end of the week, I noticed the business's Yelp page had dropped below 4 stars. That might not seem like much, but for a health and wellness store trying to sell trust and clean living, image was everything. Then came the customer complaints. Someone posted a picture of an empty shelf, tagging the store's social media with, "Second time this week, you're out of stock. What's going on?" Another commented, "Still haven't received my online order. No response from support." The tone shifted fast, from disappointed to angry. I kept refreshing the store's Facebook page every hour at the library. The posts became frantic. My mum started replying to comments herself, something she never did before. She blamed supplier issues and unforeseen delays. My dad chimed in once to claim they were being targeted by internet trolls. They had no idea it was me. Then came the real hit. One of their main suppliers sent a notice. Due to repeated delivery issues and unverified address problems, they were suspending all future shipments until further notice. That meant no restocks on their biggest sellers. That same day, they fired Dina, an older woman who'd worked there since the beginning. I'd known her since I was a kid. She always gave me extra lunch breaks and covered for me when I was late. She didn't deserve that, but my parents thought someone had to be the traitor, and they were too proud to blame each other. I read the post where they announced her departure, calling it a difficult but necessary decision. In the comments, people were shocked. She was the only nice one there, one customer wrote. I stared at the screen, hands gripping the mouse too tight. They were tearing their own place apart, and I hadn't even touched the worst of it yet. It was like watching a building slowly catch fire. No explosion, just smoke creeping through the cracks, bit by bit. And I was the one holding the match. They had no idea what was really coming. I spent 3 full days in the library, digging through every memory, every scrap of knowledge I had about the business. I opened a blank document and started building my case. Line by line, I wrote down everything shady my parents had done over the years. It was a longer list than I expected. Unpaid labor, easy. I had worked there since I was 13. No paycheck, no tips, no breaks. I even skipped school to cover weekend shifts. I found an old photo online of me in the store, wearing the branded apron. I added that in. Then I remembered how they paid Dina under the table for years to avoid taxes, and the time they made a younger employee lie on an accident report so they wouldn't get in trouble for having no insurance. I found tax records too, public ones. Some years, the numbers didn't add up. Big jumps in profit with no matching payroll increases. Something was off. I listed names of ex-employees I remembered, especially the ones they'd fired suddenly or blamed for things going wrong. Most of them didn't even know why they were let go. When I was done, the file was 10 pages long. I added screenshots, links, timestamp. I even created a chart showing how the business had a pattern of rotating through young workers who never stayed long, probably because they were treated like trash. Then I posted it. First, I dropped the document on a local Reddit thread, r/smalltownjustice. Then on Facebook, under a fake name. I shared it to community forums, local business groups, even tagged a few low-level reporters who had written about small business success stories before. I didn't expect it to explode, but it did. The post got shared hundreds of times in one night. People started adding their own stories. Former customers talked about being overcharged or scammed. Ex-employees came forward, some anonymously, some not. Finally, someone said it. I thought I was the only one. They made my 16-year-old daughter work late nights for cash. Dina got fired for nothing. This explains it. The comments poured in. Some were angry, some were shocked, but almost no one defended them. I watched it all unfold from the library computer, barely blinking. My parents' store was no longer the face of a charming family business. It was now the subject of a local scandal. Their name, the one printed on the front window, on business cards, on every label, was being torn apart online. They wanted me forgotten. Now the whole town couldn't stop talking about them. The call came late in the afternoon. I didn't recognize the number, but I picked up anyway. "Why are you doing this to us?" It was my mom. Her voice was shaking, not angry, scared. "I don't know what you mean," I said flatly, though we both knew I did. She didn't even try to pretend. "The suppliers backed out. Half the staff quit. We're getting emails from news reporters. You think we don't know who did this?" My dad got on the line next. "You've made your point. Whatever this is, it ends now." They wanted to meet in person, neutral ground, a small diner near the edge of town. I agreed. When I walked in, they were already sitting at a booth, looking more tired than I'd ever seen them. My mum's makeup was smudged. My dad's shirt was wrinkled, collar unbuttoned. "Sit down," my dad said, but softer than usual. I sat, leaned back, didn't say a word. "You've caused enough damage," my mum began. "This isn't how family solves problems." I raised an eyebrow. "Funny. Thought family kicked you out on your birthday and spread lies about you." They both looked down. For once, they had nothing to say. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. "Want to see something?" I opened the LLC file, showed them my name. "You forgot to remove me. Legally, I'm still part of the business. You threw me out, but left the door open." My dad's mouth tightened. "We didn't mean for it to go this far." "No," I said calmly. "You meant for me to disappear. After years of unpaid work, skipped school, no childhood, you wanted to dump me like trash. So I returned the favor." My mum's eyes filled with tears. "We're sorry, okay? Just stop this, please." You've made your point. I stood up. Number, you don't get to beg now. You taught me to survive, remember? I leaned forward slightly. Turns out, I'm pretty good at it. Neither of them spoke as I walked out. They wanted to break me. Instead, they taught me exactly how to break them. It didn't take long after the confrontation for everything to collapse. Within 2 weeks, the store had lost 3 of its biggest clients, small gyms and health clinics that used to buy their supplements in bulk. They all pulled out at once, citing reputation concerns. One even posted publicly, "We do not support businesses that exploit workers or deceive customers." That one went viral. The supplier I'd flagged earlier took things further. Turns out, once they started reviewing past transactions, they found multiple contract violations, missed payments, manipulated invoices. I'd only dropped a few hints in the report I leaked, but it was enough to get them digging. They sued my parents for breach of contract. Then came the IRS. I didn't know exactly how bad their taxes were until I heard through a mutual contact that they'd been flagged for audit. The numbers they reported didn't match up with payroll records. Employees had been paid off the books for years, and now former workers were coming forward to confirm it. By the end of the month, nearly every employee had quit. The ones who stayed said the store was chaos. Angry customers, no restocks, constant tension. A leaked video showed my dad screaming at a cashier in front of customers. That clip ended up on TikTok with the caption, "Family business meltdown." The comments were brutal. Someone spray-painted "thieves" on the back wall of the building. They tried holding a reputation recovery sale. No one showed up. Eventually, the bank took notice. With no cash flow and mounting legal fees, my parents missed 2 mortgage payments. Then the store itself was repossessed. Locked doors, notice on the window, all inventory seized. They tried to move everything into a storage unit, but even that didn't last. I saw the foreclosure notice for their house in the public records feed, the same house I'd grown up in, the one they threw me out of like I didn't matter. Now it was empty. The family name, once posted proudly on the store sign, was mud. No one trusted them. They couldn't get loans, couldn't open a new business, couldn't even show their faces at local events without whispers following them. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I just watched. They built everything on top of me. My time, my work, my loyalty. Then they tried to erase me. But in the end, it was their names that got wiped away. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life tearing things down. Once the dust settled, I started thinking about what came next. I still didn't have much. No home, no degree, just a backpack and an old phone. But I had something they never gave me credit for. I had knowledge, years of working the register, managing shipment, handling customer complaints. It all stuck with me. I knew how a business worked from the inside out. So I went back to the library. Again, not to destroy this time, but to build. I started simple. An online shop selling handmade care kit, natural soaps, teas, wellness journals. I sourced products locally, made a few things myself, and built a website from scratch using a free template. My old school email list came in handy. I messaged people, explained what I was doing, asked for support, and people showed up. A woman who used to shop at my parents' store messaged me saying, "I always liked you better anyway. You actually listened." A few ex-employees offered to help package orders or spread the word. I didn't lie about my past. I told the truth on my site, that I was starting over, that I'd learned everything the hard way, and that I believed in doing things right. The site picked up traction, slowly at first, but steady. A local food blog featured me. Then someone on TikTok shared their care kit and called it the most thoughtful gift I've ever gotten. Sales spiked after that. I didn't make a fortune, but I made enough to rent a tiny room, enough to eat something other than leftovers, enough to stand on my own feet. Every dollar felt earned, not stolen, not owed. And as I packed orders by hand at a little folding table, I thought about what real success looks like. It's not the big store or the family name on the window. It's knowing you built something without stepping on anyone to do it. And finally, after everything, I was doing just that. I turned 19 in my own apartment. It wasn't big, just a 1-bedroom with second-hand furniture and mismatched mugs. But it was mine. No rules taped to the fridge. No tense dinners. No one treating me like I owed them something just for existing. Just peace. A few friends I met through the business stopped by. We weren't tight yet, not like family, but they were kind. We ordered cheap pizza, shared stories, and laughed about nothing. It felt good, real, no fake smiles, no pretending. Someone brought a cake, store-bought, a little lopsided, and they lit a single candle in the middle. We all sat around the chipped coffee table. They sang off-key. I didn't even care. As I leaned forward to blow out the candle, my phone buzzed. A notification popped up. Final auction complete. Former business name property sold at 48% below market value. I stared at it for a second, letting the words sink in. The last piece of it, gone. The shelves I stocked, the floor I scrubbed, the sign with our family name, all of it, sold off to someone else. I didn't feel joy or anger, just closure. I smiled, leaned in closer to the flickering candle and whispered under my breath, "Thanks for the push." No one heard me, and that was fine. They clapped when I blew it out, then passed slices around. Someone spilled soda on the couch, and someone else dropped a piece of crust in the plant. I just laughed and told them not to worry about it. Later that night, after everyone left, I sat on the little balcony, looking out at the quiet street. Lights in windows, cars parked haphazardly. Just a normal night, in a normal place. I pulled out my phone again, opened the photo of that eviction notice I'd saved from a year ago. The date, the signature, the cupcake next to it. Then I deleted it. That chapter was over. I wasn't the scared kid they kicked out anymore. I'd built something. Maybe it was small. Maybe it would take years to grow. But it was mine, and it came from me. Not from fear, not from revenge, just from finally being free. And honestly, that was the best birthday gift I could have asked for.